Ah, the 1970s, the decade when every casserole, dip, and dinner proudly oozed cheese. Whether it came from a bright orange box, a tin of processed spread, or a bubbling oven dish, cheese was the star that tied every meal together. Families gathered around wood-paneled tables, Tupperware bowls in hand, passing gooey casseroles and creamy fondues while disco music hummed softly in the background. Today, we are traveling back to that gloriously cheesy era, flipping through yellowed cookbooks, peeling back foil-wrapped Velveeta, and remembering the dishes that made the decade so deliciously over the top. So warm up the oven, pull on your best polyester apron, and join us for 25 cheesy dishes from the 1970s cookbooks that deserve one more spotlight. 1 cheese fondue party bowl. No dish captured 1970s entertaining like the cheese fondue. A bubbling pot of molten Swiss and Gruyere sat in the center of the table, surrounded by cubes of bread, sausage bites, and blanched veggies. Guests dipped, swirled, and laughed as the cheese stretched into long golden ribbons. It was the ultimate conversation starter, and a symbol of togetherness. The era-esque culinary version of sharing. 2. Cheesy tuna noodle casserole, the weeknight hero. Layers of egg noodles, tuna, peas, and condensed cream soup, all blanketed in melted cheddar and baked until the edges crisped. Housewives loved it because it fed 6 people for a few dollars, and kids loved that crunchy breadcrumb topping. A dish that proved comfort did not need to be fancy. 3. Velveeta Macaroni Supreme. Forget today's gourmet versions. The 1970s Macaroni Supreme was all about that smooth golden melt. Cookbooks proudly suggested melting cubes of Velveeta with a splash of evaporated milk to achieve perfect creaminess. It was pure nostalgia in a bowl, bright enough to belong in a Crayola box and indulgent enough to make every kid smile. 4. Broccoli cheesebake. This was the dish that made people pretend they were eating healthy. Tender broccoli florets, drowned in a sauce of cheddar. Milk and cream of mushroom soup, baked until the top browned like toasted marshmallow. It brought vegetable skeptics to the table and filled kitchens with the unmistakable aroma of melted comfort. 5. Ham and cheese strata. This brunch classic was a hidden gem. Cubes of die-old bread, diced ham, shredded cheese, and beaten eggs soaked overnight, then baked into a golden puffed casserole. It was the perfect way to use leftovers and still impress guests on Sunday mornings. Every bite tasted like a breakfast sandwich in casserole form. 6. Cheese and potato au gratin. Layers of thinly sliced potatoes bathed in a rich cheddar sauce, baked until the edges bubbled and crisped. The golden crust was the prize. Families fought over the corners. Many 70s cookbooks suggested sprinkling paprika on top for color, giving it that signature retro touch. 7. Cheesy beef and rice casserole. A true Midwestern marvel. Ground beef browned with onions, mixed with rice, tomato sauce, and heaps of shredded cheese. Cheap, hearty, and satisfying. Moms made it in giant Pyrex dishes for potlucks and church suppers. It was one-pan simplicity at its best. Buy cheese soufflé for adventurous home cooks. The cheese soufflé represented elegance. Light, airy, and delicate, yet packed with rich Gruyere. The rise was dramatic, the texture ethereal. Even though most feared it collapsing, when it came out perfect, it felt like magic. It was the 1970s showstopper before Instagram existed. 9. Pimiento cheese, spread equal parts appetizer and lifestyle. This southern staple found national fame in the 1970s. A mix of shredded sharp cheddar, mayonnaise, and diced pimientos created a creamy, tangy spread, perfect for celery sticks or sandwich fillings. Every cookbook had a variation. Some added Tabasco, others pickle juice, but all captured that retro punch of flavor. 10. Cheesy stuffed peppers. Bell peppers were everywhere in the 70s, stuffed with rice, ground beef, and of course cheese. Mozzarella and cheddar melted into the filling, creating a gooey surprise inside every pepper. When they came out of the oven, the tops glistened like jewels of comfort. 11. Lasagna al formaggio. The 1970s American lasagna was unapologetically rich. Layers of ricotta, mozzarella, parmesan, and meat sauce stacked tall and baked until the sides sizzled. Families called it Sunday lasagna, and cookbooks urged you to let it rest. before slicing so the cheese could set beautifully. The smell alone could summon everyone to the table. 12. Cheese-topped meatloaf. Even meatloaf could not escape the cheese craze. Some recipes folded cheese cubes right into the meat mixture. Others draped slices of American cheese over the top before broiling. The result, a creamy crust that melted into the ketchup glaze, was bold, comforting, and distinctly 1970s. 13. Cheesy cornbread casserole. Sweet corn kernels baked with cheddar, sour cream, and butter created a dish halfway between bread and pudding. Served in cast-iron pans or Pyrex dishes, it was a barbecue favorite, golden at the edges, soft at the center. With that unmistakable smell of home cooking and melted cheddar bliss. 14. Baked cheese and onion dip. Every party table in the 1970s had this bubbling casserole dish surrounded by crackers, sweet caramelized onions, folded into cream cheese, and shredded Swiss, baked until golden and slightly crisp on top. The smell hit you before you even entered the room, the aroma of warmth and friendship. 15. Cheese and chili macaroni meets Tex-Mex. Elbow pasta coated in melted cheddar and chili con carne made weeknight dinners exciting. Cookbook notes recommended topping it with extra cheese and baking for a dramatic finish. It was comfort food with a hint of spice, a snapshot of how adventurous the 1970s palate was becoming. 16. Spinach and cheese quiche. Quiche was sophistication in a pie crust. A mixture of eggs, cream, spinach, and Swiss cheese created something both elegant and homey. Housewives served it warm for brunches and cold for luncheons, proving that real class could come from a frozen crust and a block of cheese. 17. Cheesy stuffed shells. Large pasta shells filled with ricotta, mozzarella, and parmesan baked in tomato sauce until bubbly, a dish that defined family gatherings. The gooey filling spilled out when sliced, and every bite carried that unmistakable flavor of love baked in the oven. 18. Cheddar and beer soup. This was the decade's boldest soup. Mix of sharp cheddar, beer, mustard, and Worcestershire created a creamy, savory masterpiece. Served in small ceramic crocks with a thick slice of toasted bread, it warmed cold nights and made kitchens smell like cozy taverns. 19. Cheese-stuffed zucchini boats. Zucchini, sliced lengthwise and hollowed, became tiny edible vessels for melted cheese, breadcrumbs, and herbs. This was how 1970s cooks turned a garden surplus into a showstopper, bubbling, fragrant, and deceptively wholesome. 20. A hearty favorite of the Midwest, this dish layered mashed potatoes mixed with cheddar and sour cream inside a pastry shell, baked until golden. It was filling, frugal, and utterly irresistible, the kind of food that turned cold evenings into comfort. 21. Cheese and ham roll-ups, flattened sandwich bread spread with cream cheese and diced ham, rolled tight, brushed with butter, and toasted. The result? Crispy outsides, melty centers, and nostalgic perfection. They were the ultimate 1970s appetizer, always vanishing first from party platters. 22. Double cheese pizza bake. Before frozen pizzas dominated, families baked their own. Thick biscuit dough pressed into pans, topped with tomato sauce, pepperoni, and two kinds of cheese, mozzarella and cheddar, baked until strings of molten cheese stretched with every bite. Artisan. Cheese soufflé casserole, a cousin to the elegant French version. This 1970s favorite was heartier, a mix of cottage cheese, cheddar, eggs, and breadcrumbs, baked into a puffed miracle. Served hot with a sprinkle of paprika, it combined sophistication and small-town warmth. 24. Cheesy, scalloped cauliflower. Cookbooks called it the way to make anyone love vegetables. Steamed cauliflower smothered in cheddar sauce and baked under breadcrumbs until golden. The smell of roasted cheese and butter filled the kitchen like a comforting hug. 25. Cheese ball extravaganza. No 1970s party was complete without the cheese ball, cream cheese mixed with cheddar, Worcestershire, onion powder, and a splash of sherry, shaped into a sphere and rolled in chopped nuts. It was festive, fun, and as iconic as a disco ball on the buffet table. Closing story. Cheese wasn't just food in the 1970s. It was celebration. It made ordinary dinners feel indulgent and simple ingredients feel special. Every bubbling casserole, every golden crust, every melted string of cheddar was a reminder of warmth. laughter, and family gathered around the table. As modern trends push toward lighter and faster meals, those old cheesy recipes remind us of something deeper: food made with care, shared with love, and enjoyed slowly. So the next time you see a block of cheddar or an old cookbook, maybe bring one of these classics back to life. Your kitchen and your heart will thank you. If this trip through the cheesiest decade brought back memories, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you never miss our next nostalgic food journey. Share this video with someone who remembers the taste of real comfort food, and tell us in the comments which cheesy dish deserves a comeback.